Hey guys, welcome back with Linksy. Hope you're doing well. This is going to be a very short video focused specifically on the dwarfs, the changes the dwarfs have gotten, and how and what is awesome about them. Now, please understand I do not have access to the game yet, so I cannot show you in-game footage. That will come later. I will promise you will do guides on the new dwarfs. However, for now, let's get started. First major thing is the grudges have been reworked. This is now a 5-tier system where you start if the less grudges you have, the better it is for your economy, for your faction. The less you have more growth, you have more research, and you have a very low chance of getting slayers. Yes, you can get slayers in your special recruitment tree for free, as because they are breaking the oaths, but not many oaths to break, so you get less slayers. The more and grudges you have, the more slayers chance you get, and of course the bigger the debuffs to your faction. This is quite an improvement because currently the grudge system as it is, although quite fun, doesn't really give you much debuffs or that many bonuses. That as it is, it's quite simple. I also like the fact that it is much larger than just minus 30 being the limit. It goes up much more and you can go like much more grudges. Apart from that as well, each legendary lord starts with their own special unique grudges that they need to fulfill, and these grudges will give you special items, special runes, special events happening. Once you get them going, they do a lot to your faction, to your character, or to your army. You also, apart from this, is there's a new rune system. So runes, previously you found them or they were part of the runesmith. The runesmith we will discuss in a bit. However, now runes can be forged with oath gold, and oath gold is much more important. You do not need resources to forge them, and as much they are the basis of your army. No longer you can put arcane items in dwarf heroes and leaders, armored generals. However, now you have 3 slots where you can put different runes. Runes are very limited in how many you can forge, but then there is a gigantic selection of them. You can only forge each rune item once, and then it gives you a number of runes which you can use. These buff your army, buff your hero, or buff your campaign movement or general in itself. There are a variety of these things. Of course, there will be a complete categorization of this by a number of people, probably by Mercy the Mad. He does incredible work in doing science. Old gold, of course, now is going to be much more important as there's a lot more reason to invest in it and get old gold. And this comes to the next thing, is the way that they have reworked the building tree. The building tree is now a bit different, whereas before you needed, for example, to recruit hammerers and to recruit iron breakers, you needed to have a certain number of buildings built up. You needed to have the Gromnel Forge and you needed to have the Hall of Oaths. Now all you need is the Gromnel Forge on its own and you'll be able to build that. But what is really interesting now as well is that they have added different things. The Gromnel Forge, or the forge itself, the armory forge, I believe that is what it's called, gives you oath gold and gives you a number of different buffs and bonuses because the runesmiths are so much more important. Runesmiths themselves have been upgraded drastically, but we shall speak to them in a second. Just some more updates on what is different now with the gunpowder tree, where usually you had to link that in with the engineering to be able to get the higher the organ guns and stuff like that. You no longer need to do so. Tinkerer's Dan is now also a new building which starts the engineering tree at tier 3. And so they've basically made it much simpler to recruit the units, but they have also made us decide that we either go one route or the other, and we'll have very limited building slots in tier 5 settlements. So they've balanced the power of super strong units that the dwarves have by also making us choose which route or what type of army we're going to build. The runesmiths are now fantastic. They cast rune magic, or the equivalent of rune magic. The runes previously were just buffs and debuffs. At the start they were pure damage in some cases, and then they were just nerfed quite heavily. In this case now they're much stronger with gigantic cooldown times, and this is fantastic. We have actual powerful rune magic that can be used, or in this case just throwing a rune at the enemy and blow them up, and this will make the dwarves compete with the magical effects of some other factions. This is ginormous. It's groundbreaking. It's going to allow the dwarves to do things which previously they would not have been able to do. New builds, hero specific centered army builds. It's going to be fantastic. Something that I also liked is now the engineers come at tier 3 with the tinkerers then being added into the building tree of the engineers. Here you can get the engineers and gyrocopters. All the helicopters are basically recruited from this area, and it is a building that gives you extra research and of course buffs to the engineers. This is quite similar to other factions, and it does make sense in a way that the engineers go down this route. Of course, the engineers and the runesmiths get a reworked skill tree where there are a variety of things, but I think the most important one for me is that now the engineers get the ability to give replenishment to ammunition. It's no longer the vampire coast that does this, but also the dwarves, which makes so much sense because the dwarves of course are a static, slow moving, heavy artillery, heavy ammo faction that just build an impenetrable defense, and it only makes sense that they also carry with them extra ammunition. This is just absolutely brilliant. Finally, just a little bit of a bonus is that Thorgrim Grudgebearer now starts with an engineer, and that is just lovely, having an engineer there, a special legendary engineer, if I say so myself, with extra abilities, but it's nice to see that. I believe this is it. This is all the updates, except of course the most important one, which is Torek Ironbrow, which you're seeing around me right now. This guy is just absolutely stupidly strong. Fantastic. He is the ultimate runesmith and is just crazy strong and crazy cool. In the Vortex map, he starts in the Spine of Sotek, and in the Mortal Empire campaign, he will start in Karak Norn. Karak Norn, for those who don't know where it is just below the start of Queek, so he's going to be in quite an interesting position down there. He has a number of things which are fantastic, such as we are seeing here. He has a fiery temper, allowing him to cause fear into enemies that approach him. He has a locus of power, allowing him, of course, because he has an anvil of doom. Yes, you've heard this right. He runs around the battlefield on an anvil of doom, and that is just crazy. He has a lot of power. He's able to cast more runes and use more dwarf spells, rune magic, and does more power. He also, it says, can reflect spells that the enemy throws at him. This is going to be really cool. Of course, runic talismans, we just spoke about them. Exacting standards, I tried pronouncing it a couple of times. Anything less than perfect is useless, so runesmiths under Torek command are much better than others. He gives, of course, buffs to other runesmith, and that is absolutely fine. And he gets the ability where his hammer just basically is Thor's hammer and releases lightning. He has the Anvil of Doom, as we said. He has special rune armor, and he has his own unique weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all the dwarves got, but in a very short period of time. I hope I did not miss anything, because it was a big list, but I am excited, and I hope you are as well, because in a week's time we're going to be having the time of our life with the dwarves. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.